Hi everyone! In this series I want to share the little things I wish I had known earlier. Small workflow tips that make a big difference. Mixamo animations are great for quick prototypes, previews or cinematic blockouts. So today I'll show you a simple workflow I use. Downloading the animations, organizing them, adding them into timeline and then fixing the root motion with the humanoid rig, so everything finally moves and aligns the way it should. So let's assume that we want to use an animation from Mixamo. And when we open a Mixamo, we can see that we have an Xbot here. This is a standard character that Mixamo usually use. We have also other character options in Mixamo under character tab. We can choose here any character and we can just download the character with rig without any animation. We need to click download, FBX and T-pose or original, but usually we can stick to T-pose and click download. And this will download the rig. So let's assume that we want to make a sequence of animations. And let's go with /. Let's pick an animation where character move through space. So its start position is here, and when the animation is played, the end position is in the different point. Let's stick to this animation and let's assume that we want to make a sequence with character moving, and also we want to add some effects there in future probably. But let's stick to this right now. I will download the animation and I want to download it without skin. 30 frames per second is okay. I click download, and also let's choose another animation of idle. So the sequence will be character staying in idle, then characters start casting some spells, and this spell is transferring the character through space, and after the cast, character is returning into idle again. And I download the idle animation as well, just an animation without skin, and I click download. Now we have three files. First file is an Xbot, this is character without any animation, just rig, and two animation. One is attack animation and the other is idle animation. Let's dive into Unity. In Unity, to keep everything organized, let's create a new folder and name it animations. And to import animations in Unity, we can just drag and drop files inside project straight away. To keep things more appealing, I love to rename my character, and I will rename it to character sequence. Next step, I need to drag and drop character into the scene. And we have our character here, and its name is character sequence, and it has rig inside it, Mixamo rig. To make the character moves and to preview it, we need to create a timeline. To create a timeline, first thing is needed is create an empty object, and I will name it sequence timeline. I also like to reset transform, so my object will be in the center of the world. And then I need to add a playback director. After that, right click in the folder view, create timeline. Sequence timeline. And I can assign timeline here, and in my timeline window I can choose this timeline and lock. So when I click on the empty space, this window will be showing my timeline. Next step, if we will open our files, we will see that all of our animations are named as mixamo.com. And this is not what I really want, because I want to my animations name properly. And to rename animation, I can click on the asset and go to the animation tab, and here we can rename it. And this is an attack animation, so I will rename it as sword attack and hit enter and then apply. And now we can see that an animation file has a different name, and the same I can do for the idle animation. Sword idle. Apply. And now to put animations into timeline, first step I need to drag and drop character into timeline and add animation track. And then I want to drag and drop animations into the timeline, and we can see that now it works. Now character is moving, idling, and then it's making a motion. And after the motion ends, I also want to add an idle, so he will be back in the idling stage. And we can already see the problem that is appearing here. So character starts at 0, 0, then animation is playing, and then character is back into 0, 0 position. And if we look more closer to the character object, we can see that position of it is 0, 0, 0 every time. And this is something I want to fix. The problem is lying into the rig settings. So here we have different animation types. Legacy, generic, humanoid, and when animation type is generic, this is type of rig. When the rig type is generic, Unity doesn't know which bone should be treated as the root motion source. In Mixamo animations, the forward movement is stored inside the hips bone, but Unity expects root motion to come from a clearly defined root transform. And with the generic rig, Unity sees many bones, no defined root motion source, no avatar that describes how the skeleton should move in world space, and no bone mapping. So to fix this problem, we can use a humanoid rig. And for avatar definition, we can create from this module, so this will create an avatar from this model. And if we hit apply, we can see that now avatar is appearing here. Here is a character, and its name as an asset. And what is a humanoid rig? The humanoid rig in Unity is a special system that converts any human skeleton, Mixamo, Blender, Maya, and so on, into a unified bone structure that Unity understands. And Unity basically says, I don't care how your bones are named, hips, pelvis, or whatever, Mixamo rig, hips. If it's a human, I'll map it to my standard human skeleton and animate it correctly. And humanoid rig solves two major problems. First problem, it standardizes bones through human bone mapping. And second problem, it allows Unity to play any humanoid animation on any humanoid model. This is super powerful. And what is an avatar that we created? Avatar is a file, here is a file, that describes the skeleton of a character. Which bone is the pelvis, where the spine chain is, which bones control arms and leg, and so on. And in simple words, an avatar is the bone map Unity uses to understand your character's body. When we click avatar definition create from this model, Unity generates an avatar that defines the structure of the skeleton, bone orientation, root transform, and so on. So now, to make things work, we also should apply this animation type and avatar definition to our animations. And to do it, we need to click on the asset, animation type humanoid, and avatar definition. We can choose copy from other avatar, and we want to use this avatar because we want to animate specifically this character, and we hit apply. And the same thing should be done for the second animation. And now, if we check our animation, they won't be working. And this is because we need to assign an avatar into avatar tab. And then it suddenly starts to work. And if you can see, the position and rotation of the root of this object is now animated, because the fields here are dark blue. This means that there are some keys, and that is exactly what we want. Now Unity understands. So, oh, this is the root. This is how the character moves in world space. And after this, the character is actually moving forward. And if there was a collider on the character, it will be moving if there was a collider on the character, the collider will follow the motion. Root motion is applied correctly, and timeline can auto-align clips. If we want this idle animation to start in the position of the end of the previous animation, we can right-click on the animation and click Match Offsets to Previous Clip. And this is the magical solution for this problem, because when the animation is ending here, now Unity understands that the root position is at this specific point in the world, and then it matches the position of this animation start to match the position of this animation end. I hope this makes sense. But this is the solution, and we can, of course, usually the animation are designed to start and end at the same place, at the same position, and usually lots of animation are starting from idling position, so the transition will be as soft as they could be. So in this specific case, the animation of idle is starting at 0, 0, 0, and the position of sport attack is also starting from 0, 0, 0, so there is no problems. And to make this transition more soft, we can just shift and Unity, we can just blend animation, and Unity will automatically blend the animation start. It will be jumping, of course, but it's better than it was. It's not so jittering. And to fix this jittering, we also could blend animation a little bit, and this will be softer. So this is a simple solution to fix the position offset in animations in Unity. And this is a simple pipeline of how to animate characters through timeline, and how to use already existed animations that we can freely download from Mixamo. I hope it was useful. Thank you for your attention. What the humanoid rig actually does in Unity. The humanoid rig in Unity is a special system that converts any human skeleton into a unified bone structure that Unity understands. Unity basically says, I don't care how your bones are named, hip, pelvis, Mixamo rig, hips, whatever. If it's a human, I'll map it to my standard human skeleton and animate it correctly. Humanoid rig solves two problems. First, it standardizes bones through humanoid bone mapping. Unity expects a specific set of bones, like hips, spine, chest, head, and so on, but every program names and structures bone differently. Humanoid rig analyzes your skeleton and matches each bone to Unity's humanoid template. This process is called retargeting. And second problem it solves, it allows Unity to play any humanoid animation on any humanoid model. Once a model is marked as humanoid and an animation is also marked as humanoid, animations become interchangeable. Unity can apply the animation to any humanoid character, Unity can correctly evaluate root motion, and Timeline can precisely align animations in space. Animations are no longer locked to their original skeleton. What an avatar is. An avatar is a file that describes the skeleton of a character, which bone is the pelvis, where the spine chain is, which bones control arms and legs, which bones is considered the root, and how animations should interpret this skeleton. In simple words, an avatar is the bone map Unity uses to understand your character's body. When you click Avatar Definition, create from this model, Unity generates an avatar that defines the structure of the skeleton, bone orientations, the root transform, and the connection to humanoid rig. When you open an animation and select Avatar Definition Copy from other avatar, you tell Unity, use the same skeleton definition as my character model. And this is what makes Mixamo animations compatible with your model. Why root motion suddenly works? Mixamo animations contain real forward movement stored in the hips bone, but Unity cannot use that movement until the model is set to humanoid, the animation is set to humanoid, both use the same avatar. Once these three conditions are met, Unity understands, oh, this is the root, this is how the character moves in the world space. After that, the character physically moves forward, the collider follows the movement, root motion is applied correctly, timeline can auto-align clips, match offset actually works. Without a humanoid avatar, Unity only sees bone rotations and not real displacement. Why timeline can now match animations with one click? Timeline can only match animation position when it knows where the root is, how far the character moved during the clip, and where the animation ends in world space. Humanoid rig plus avatar gives Unity exactly this information, and then when you press right click, match offsets, Unity reads the final root position from the previous clip and moves the next clip so its root starts exactly at that point, and the animation line up perfectly. And that's the whole workflow. Simple, clean and reliable. I use this setup a lot myself when I'm creating effects for my portfolio, testing ideas or just making something fun. Production pipelines can be more complex and often very different, but this is a quick and practical way to preview your scenes without diving into coding or building a full animation system. I hope it helps you work a little faster and with fewer surprises along the way. If you'd like more small practical tips like this, just let me know. Thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next episode. And now, if we select a character and if we play And now, to make it work, we need to delete... нет, надо было назначить аватар просто сюда, и все. Но я уже все удалила. Да. Ну, ничего. Because now see bones. Все? Тогда.